Welcome back. President Trump held a closed-door White House meeting yesterday with 15 oil executives. While there was no talk of tariffs, they did speak of furthering innovation, artificial intelligence, and what the energy sector needs. The White House says this. Today, President Trump met with leading oil executives who are eager to unleash American energy after 4 years of Biden's radical climate regulations. President Trump reaffirmed his commitment to restore America's energy dominance and drill, baby, drill. The Trump administration approved the Venture Global CP2 plan, and that is a plan to export natural gas from Louisiana. Energy Secretary Chris Wright said that cutting red tape like this will allow the U.S. to meet growing energy demands for decades. Joining me now is American Petroleum Institute President and CEO Mike Sommers. Mike, great to see you. Thanks so much for being here. You were in that meeting at the White House. Can you tell us what was discussed?
Well, this was really a meeting that was 4 years in the making. Under the Biden administration, the oil and gas industry was not welcome in the White House. And finally, we have a president who's focused on energy dominance. And in the meeting yesterday, what the president said was that we're going to have an opportunity to finally open up some of these federal lands and federal waters that were restricted by the Biden administration. He's going to be fast on getting permits for those LNG terminals and really focus on making sure that the United States has the energy that it needs to power the future. Particularly as we see AI coming online, we're going to need a lot more energy, and that means a lot more oil and natural gas.
Yeah, so I mean, how long do these projects take? Because I know these are long-term investments, and what I keep asking our lawmakers and other guests is, what is it going to take to get Congress involved to codify some of these executive orders that President Trump has put in place? These executive orders unleash energy dominance, but don't you need Congress to codify these into law to ensure that these are permanent and are in place past President Trump's term?
At the beginning of this administration, we put forward a 5-point energy roadmap. The good news is that the president has already fulfilled almost 60% of that roadmap with his day one executive orders and lifting the LNG pause. Now we need Congress to act to make sure that those are durable for the long term. So Congress, it's your turn. It's your turn to unleash American energy dominance, and I think that we can get drilling going very quickly if they act fast.
So the White House now says that President Trump is moving past the rare earth minerals deal with Ukraine and that he's focusing on the country's electrical supply and nuclear power plants. Trump brought this up during a phone call with Zelensky yesterday. Here's the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Watch.
He said that the United States could be very helpful in running those plants with its electricity and utility expertise. American ownership of those plants would be the best protection for that infrastructure and support for Ukrainian energy infrastructure.
Mike, how do you see that playing out?
Well, the United States is blessed with the greatest engineers, the greatest technicians in the world. And of course, just like we have with American LNG, we want to share that expertise throughout the world. This is a good news story for America. It shows that America is back open for business. And we're going to be focused on making sure that we're not only just producing oil and gas here, but we're also sharing that expertise with our allies all over the globe.
You know, we've been talking about the White House's America First investment policy since it was released back in February. And President Trump issued this memorandum partly to limit China's access to U.S. markets as part of his America First investment policy. The president called out China's control of coal, for example, authorizing the immediate production of coal, beautiful, clean coal, he called it. Mike, how do you see the coal part of this story playing out?
Well, just last year, the world used more oil, more natural gas, and more coal than it has ever in its history.
Wow.
What that means is that we're not part of some magical energy transition. The truth of the matter is we're going to need all of these sources for energy of the future. America needs more energy because we have to fuel that AI revolution that is happening. If we don't power that future, we are not going to win the race with China on AI.
Yeah, I mean,
so
you're right.
We're going to need all of it. We're going to need oil, we're going to need gas, and we're going to need coal.
Yeah, Tiana, your thoughts?
The number of oil and gas rigs in operation increased by over 100 from the time Trump won the election through the end of February. And we saw that have this downstream effect on inflation because of those lowering gasoline prices. How much of a threat, as the president makes cost of living his #1 goal to deliver to the American people, how much of a threat is future movement from OPEC Plus and potential blowback from the tariffs when it comes specifically to bringing down these energy and gas prices?
Well, the truth of the matter is that the oil and gas industry is an industry that has benefited from free trade policies, particularly with Canada. So how the process works is that we import Canadian crude at a 20% discount. And then we refine it in American refineries and then sell it to American consumers who benefit from that incredible discount. So this is a free trade process that has worked very well for American consumers and will continue to. We want to make sure that we can continue to produce here in the United States. We refine it here in the United States in the most sophisticated refinery kit in the world. And that's something that I think President Trump understands. He understood it from day one when they lowered that headline tariff from 25% to 10% for Canadian crude. And we're going to continue to work with them on this important priority.
All right, Mike, great to have you this morning. Thanks so much.